this Thursday night, 89 North Live, another show. And I'm excited about tonight's band that we will live stream. This band is progressive rock. That's really my favorite genre of music, I have to tell you, Adam. This is Adam Colombo from Callooh, Callay. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thanks so much.
Great. You tell me about your band. 5-piece band, right?
So yeah, it's a 5-piece, all-original progressive rock band. It kind of started in a studio in Holbrook, which is kind of co-owned by myself and a couple of other friends, Rich Pizzo, Todd Kogan. And what happened is we started writing some music, and a very good friend of mine, Todd Kogan, said, listen, this is really good stuff. You got to put it out there, and we got to play it out there. So he really had the vision, whereas I was just writing the music, and the music kind of came, and we put it all together. And with Rich Pizzo on bass and Giancarlo Pepe on keyboards, we also started this core, but I didn't have a drummer because I was playing drums in the writing process. And Todd Kogan told me to front the band, and I really appreciate him telling me that. So I went to the Long Island, no problem. I went to the Long Island Drum Center, and I talked to my buddy Dennis Rickey, and I said, Dennis, who do you think could, Jimmy Laureus. So he literally said Jimmy Laureus immediately without even thinking about it. And I thank my stars because Jimmy is really one of the most dynamic drummers that I can imagine playing this music. And he's really coming to his own. And now this band, Callooh Callay, is formed. We're all together. We're playing a couple of shows on Long Island, and we want to make sure that everybody understands that we're going to be releasing this record soon. And it's just been a labor of love for original music and keeping progressive rock going.
Progressive rock alive, yeah. You know, I remember, I hate to date myself, but the late 70s, you know, while we were getting into the exciting rock of Van Halen and things like that, I was listening to UK and all that ELP and great stuff like that. And I was kind of felt guilty about going to some of the glam rock because that was rooted in more intelligent people, as I remember. Yeah. And so you guys must be a bunch of intelligent guys.
Well, I'm not so sure about intelligence, but we were definitely listening to that kind of stuff. So when you listen to our record, you can actually pick out the influences. It's Yes, it's Genesis, it's UK, it's Jethro Tull, it's some of the newer stuff that's coming out there. Steve Wilson, Porcupine Tree. I mean, those influences are there. I mean, I'm just so enamored with those guys. So it's a modern take with the old vintage instruments and the sounds.
It took about 3 days for me to pronounce the name of the band. Callooh, Callay. It's easy. Where does it come from?
Callooh Callay comes from a snippet from Lewis Carroll, The Jabberwocky.
Okay.
And it's about a celebration after, you know, the person actually slays the dragon, and it's about celebration. And this band is about the celebration of musical, togetherness and the way in which we actually play original music together.
I heard the warm-up. I have to say I'm very excited. I haven't seen you before, heard you before, but it brings back immediate memories of really, really great music.
Well, you know what? I think the future of our music, the future of music today is really about originals. There are some great cover bands and tribute bands. I mean, I'm actually looking at the bass player of 45 RPM, who probably owns the Long Island music scene.
I've heard that.
45 RPM, Mike Barbrick and Danny Calvagna, they just own the actual tribute scene for 60s and 70s. We like to do something completely different and push the new music forward. And to me, without new music, there's really nothing going to be.
It's all about content, new content.
Yeah,
who are some of the bands that are like playing in New York City now? You mentioned Porcupine Tree. There's another huge one out of Sweden, I believe.
Yeah, there's the Flower Kings. There's Spock's Beard. There's Transatlantic.
Yep.
Some of those guys are actually just monsters in terms of their musical abilities, and they call from the same core bands that we grew up with, and that's what we're all about.
You know what's great? My son, for example, is 24 years old, and he's listening to all those bands and going to their concerts. Yeah. So it's going to live on. I'm very glad to see that and know that that's true.
Absolutely. I mean, the young kids, I think, are more open. They have such an unbelievable availability of music genres to them. And all they have to do is just veer off left and download something, and they're exposed to something that they've never seen before. Even something as simple as the Beatles. You know, some of these kids don't understand what the Beatles were all about. You open the door, and it just completely opens up another realm.
Universal language, music. Well, this is great. I hope you guys enjoy this. In a couple of minutes, this band's going to go live. Callooh, Callay with the lead singer, right? Frontman,
Absolutely.
Adam Colombo. Anything you want to tell your fans out there that are watching?
Thank you so much for tuning in to Facebook Live. Hope you enjoy the show. Callooh, Callay rocks today.
Rocks today, 89 North Live. Thank you, guys.